Hello, everybody. This week has been a shameful week in Parliament in the United Kingdom because MPs have voted to allow abortion up to birth in England and Wales by 379 votes for, against 137 against the bill or the amendment to bring that in. So there were two amendments which were attached to something else which is going through Parliament, which is called the Crime and Policing Bill. Now, I don't agree with that. That's bad enough as it is. It brings in things like respect orders, which put individual laws on individual people, which goes against the idea of common law. But in a bill going through Parliament, MPs are allowed to attach amendments to any bill, provided it's generally in the same kind of area of law. So this is the Crime and Policing Bill. It had its second reading earlier in the year and the first vote on it in Parliament. So it went through. Then it goes to the committee stage where there's a special committee just set up to look at specific issues to do with the bill, to make sure that it doesn't contradict with other bills, that they can add amendments, they can make suggestions, they can take things out, put things in, and so on. So they do that in the committee stage, and then it goes back to the full House of Commons in what's called the report stage. And this is what's happening this week. And then at the end of the report stage is the second vote on the whole bill, as it is after the report stage. So in the report stage, the MPs vote on amendments to what they voted on the first vote. There were 20 or so amendments which came up for a vote in the House of Parliament. One of them was about abortion. There were two amendments actually laid, but they only voted on one of them. And this was a vote to decriminalize abortion up to birth for mothers, for women. So there was another amendment laid by Stella Creasy, and that was to completely legalize it. Maybe I should just tell you about these two people. Here we go. So this is the person who laid the amendment to decriminalize abortion up to birth. This is Tonia Antoniazzi, a Labour MP for Gower. And this here is Stella Creasy, who laid an amendment to legalize abortion up to birth, who is the MP for, I think, Walthamstow in London. They're slightly different, but the effects are the same. It's now legal to kill a baby in England and Wales up to birth. Well, it will be if this bill goes through the final vote, which is almost certain because it's a government bill. So Labour has a huge majority, so they will likely vote the whole thing through at the end of the process, including all of the amendments. So this is a dreadful thing to happen. It's absolutely abhorrent. When we look at the breakdown of the parties, the MPs by parties that voted for it, we can see that it's mostly what you call the progressive parties, but they're progressing the country to a hellish culture of death. 291 Labour MPs out of 403 Labour MPs that are in Parliament, so about 3/4 of the Labour MPs voted for this. 63 out of 72 Lib Dems, so that's the vast majority of Lib Dems. Only 8 Conservatives out of 120, so just a small number of Conservatives, fake Conservatives. Actually, most of them, to be fair, on this issue, most Conservatives actually voted against this amendment, but 8 of them still voted for it. 4 Greens out of 4, so 100% of the Greens in Parliament voted for this, and 7 independents. The SNP didn't vote because it concerns England and Wales, and they don't vote on things that don't concern Scotland, which is the right thing to do, actually, for them. And with Reform, 5 out of 6 voted against it. So that's good. On this particular issue, the only Reform MP that didn't vote against it, effectively abstained, was Nigel Farage, because he was too busy doing his TV show to be bothered to go to the House of Commons to vote on some of the most important legislation that is facing our country in this parliamentary session. This is the Crime and Policing Bill, which, if you're an MP and you care anything about the laws going through, you should be in Parliament to vote on the Crime and Policing Bill. And they didn't just vote on this particular amendment. There were other amendments as well that they were voting on yesterday, and they will be voting on today as well. And also the final vote on the whole bill as it comes back as amended for the third reading and the second vote in the House of Commons. So this is part of a long plan by abortionists to get three things done in the UK. Now, there was the Abortion Act, of course, in 1967. I would abolish that and abolish abortion except in cases where the mother's life is in danger, where the mother will die and the child will die. For example, in an ectopic pregnancy, because in that case, you're doing an abortion to save a life. In any other case, you're doing an abortion to kill an innocent human being who would not die. In an ectopic pregnancy, the child would die anyway. It's a horrible thing, but yes, you would do that to save the mother's life. But in every other case, you wouldn't. That's my position. That's the position of the Heritage Party. You don't kill innocent human beings. It's just not right. Particularly up to birth, which is even, absolutely an extremely abhorrent thing to do. So the Abortion Act came in 1967, but now abortionists want more. There's three things that they wanted, and there's been a specific and targeted and deliberate campaign to bring in three things. One is buffer zones around abortion centres, which they've done. First of all, with public space protection orders in Ealing and Birmingham and Bournemouth around abortion centres. But then there was an amendment laid to, the Police and Crime Bill 2023, I think, that actually then outlawed, created buffer zones around all abortion centres in all of England and Wales. And there's been a separate bill in Scotland to do that and a separate bill in Northern Ireland to do that there. So now any protest, any vigils, even prayer is considered illegal, and you'll be harassed by the police, perhaps arrested, fined, or even put in jail just for trying to help mothers who are going into an abortion centre, to offer them an alternative where they don't have to kill their baby, they can keep the baby alive and be helped. That's now become illegal under this legislation that was attached to the Police and Crime Bill 2023. So that's the first thing that abortionists wanted. The second thing is pills by post, which was never allowed until COVID. And in the Coronavirus Act 2020, Matt Hancock, who was the Secretary of State for Health at the time, put in the Coronavirus Act that pills by post would be allowed. Because they essentially shut down the health service apart from to deal with COVID. And then, you had COVID and they put you on midazolam, what that means. But anything else was just not done. So everything they wanted to bring in, appointments by computer, pills by post, for all kinds of things, and including abortion. So it was supposed to be only for gestation up to 10 weeks. So still when the baby is very small, that doesn't mean it's no more precious and doesn't have the same right to life. But it was only up to 10 weeks pills by post. But what's happened, of course, is that some women have lied and they've said, I need pills by post, which is poison by post, is what it should be called really, to end the life of the baby. And some women have been saying, yeah, look, I'm only 7, 8, 9 weeks gestation. Please, can I have pills by post? There's no assessment. There's no examination. There's no checking to see actually what gestation you're at. And there's been some women who have been over 24 weeks, 26, 30, in one case, 38 weeks gestation, 1 week before the baby's due to be born. They've said, oh, the gestation is much lower. Can I have pills by post? They've got them. They've taken them. The baby's died. But of course, they've got into huge medical complications because, you know, even an abortion center, and again, I don't agree with this, but they would not do, you know, use those kind of what they call medical abortions with pills, poisons. They wouldn't carry it out that way. After 18 weeks, they do a surgical abortion with knives and the horrible things, which are worse than the worst horror movie you can think of. But, you know, if you do the poison route, of course, it causes huge medical complications for the mothers, but either they're not thinking or whatever, but they're not supposed to have them after 10 weeks. But there's been a number of women who have lied, and of course they got into complications. They've needed medical help. They've called up for an emergency. It's been found that they've taken pills that they've got by post long after 10 weeks. And of course, that's against the law as it is now, because this thing they voted on yesterday hasn't become law yet. But if it's after 24 weeks, well, actually, at the moment, up to 24 weeks gestation, you still have to go to an abortion center legally. It has to be done by a doctor or two doctors. Yeah, call them fake doctors because they're breaking the Hippocratic Oath basically. But you know, that's the law as it stands. It's not right, but they would say, two doctors would say, okay, well, yes, you can have an abortion up to 24 weeks, and they'll do it. Mothers are not supposed to do it on their own. They have to go to a center and have that affirmed and confirmed by doctors who do it or give the pills by, you know, from the center. But then in COVID, they brought in pills by post, so there it's now just a free for all. There's no checking. A woman can get them at any time with no checks. They don't even have to go to a center, an abortion center, have an appointment, anything like that. They can just do it. DIY abortion essentially was brought in, which, you know, I'm not in favor of it, but you know, I would say, and other people in the pro-life movement have said from the very beginning, this is going to harm women's safety because they're going to be taking them, and then they're going to get into medical complications, which is exactly what's happened. But this was confirmed in law again after the Coronavirus Act came to a close. It had a 2-year sunset clause on it. The fake Conservative government at the time decided to keep that as law, that pills by post would be allowed. So that's the second thing that abortionists wanted. The third thing they want is abortion up to birth. And this bill here decriminalizes it. So it doesn't mean that you can go to an abortion center and have it done after 24 weeks. They still won't do that. But a mother doing pills by post at any time up to birth will now not get into trouble with the law. It won't be a criminal offense. So this has essentially decriminalized it. And so a mother can kill her child by pills by post at any time up to birth, and there will be no penalty for that in law at all. They want to go further, which is why Stella Creasy, that's Tonia Antoniazzi. This is Stella Creasy, this horrible person who's been pushing for more abortion for most of her career in the House of Commons. But what she wanted to do was legalize it, which would mean that abortion centers could carry out an abortion for any reason up to birth, you know, basically repeal the parts of the Offences Against the Person Act 1961 that would prohibit abortion. So it was not just she didn't just want to decriminalize it, she wanted to legalize it, not just fight for pills by post, but in abortion centers up to birth. But that will come back. You see, they've got this one thing. Now it's legal for a mother to do poison by post up to birth, no penalty. Of course, a lot of women are going to do this now. tragically, I don't know what goes through their mind to even think of doing this, but they're going to get into huge complications. There's going to be a lot of women who are going to, do this and suffer. Some of them might even die, whatever. And then the abortionists will come back and say, well, Stella Creasy had this bill to fully legalize it up to birth. Now we need this. And that will be the final stage of what they want, which is up to birth anywhere, in any methods, at any time, with no legal consequences, fully legalized. And that we haven't got there yet, but that's where they're going with it. That's what they want to happen. It is utterly abhorrent. And what happened with the vote yesterday is abhorrent. Where they finally want to go is demonic. It's horrible. There are three possibilities to stop this from becoming law. Still, one is unlikely. The second is even more unlikely. And the third won't stop it, but it can reverse it. Let me just tell you what they are. The first is this bill will go to the House of Lords after it's gone through the House of Commons. So it is possible that the House of Lords could overturn this amendment. The Lords could lay another amendment to the bill to remove this amendment from Antoniazzi's amendment. They could remove it. And then when the House of Lords votes on it, then it might not have the amendment in. But that's unlikely because the Lords, again, is full of progressives and cultural Marxists and Fabians, just like the House of Commons. So it's unlikely that they will overturn it. It probably will. Someone will probably lay an amendment to the bill in the House of Lords saying that they want to remove it, but it's unlikely to get through. You saw the size of the majority in the Commons, 379 to 137, nearly a 3-to-1 majority for this because it's full of Fabians and pro-abortionists. The Lords is not as bad, but it's, they have a majority in the Lords too. Who knows? We hope that they might change their minds, that they will be compelled to do the right thing, that they will see that what the Commons has done here is wrong. And it went through with only 46 minutes of debate, which is the problem with amendments. With the bill as a whole, there's hours and hours of debate. But with an amendment, the debate is very, very short, tiny amount of time. And then they vote on it and move on and vote for the next one, and they've got to get through 20 or so amendments in a couple of days. So they just don't have the time to consider it properly. But anyone with any morality should know that this is wrong. But the Lords, it's unlikely, but there is a small possibility that they might overturn the amendment. Now, the second method, which is possible in law, but again, is highly unlikely, and this hasn't happened for 100 years, is that the king will say no and refuse to give it royal assent because he deems this to be horrific and actually against the laws of God. And when the king takes the coronation oath, he makes an oath to God, to Jesus Christ, who is on our constitution, the real king of the country, and the king who sits on the throne of England and Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland is supposed to uphold the laws of God. So if he is true to his oath to uphold the laws of God, then he will not allow this to become law. But it's very unlikely that he will, because no monarch has done this for 100 years. No monarch has refused to ratify something that comes out of Parliament for a very long time. So he should do, but he probably won't. So that leaves us with the third option, which is the political option. And this has come from the House of Commons. They make the laws of the country. We need to reverse this in Parliament. And I run the Heritage Party, which is the only UK-wide pro-life party. We are specifically against abortion in any case, in all cases, apart from when the mother's life is in danger. One of the very first things we would do if we get into Parliament is that we would reverse this, repeal this whole bill, and strike it out from law, against with all the other things, criminalizing protesting outside abortion centers. But that's not specifically in our manifesto, because there wouldn't be abortion centers with us. We would close them all down because abortion is wrong, except in the very, very small number of cases where the mother's life is in danger, which could be done in a hospital. Because there's only a couple of hundred cases a year out of 250,000 more. Now it's going up every year. It's absolutely horrific. 1 in 3 pregnancies ends in an abortion in the UK. And when it was brought in 1967, not even the most liberal of liberals would have imagined that there'd be this number of abortions per year. It's horrific. They said it would only be a few hundred a year to be safe, legal, and rare. Well, of course, it's not safe for the baby. No abortion is safe for the baby. And it's not rare anymore. So they lied in 1967. But we need to reverse that. And that's what we would do. So if you are horrified by this, and I know the majority of people who are good thinking people are absolutely horrified by what Parliament has done in allowing abortion up to birth. If you want to end that, if you want to reverse that and repeal that, you've only got one choice, really. The Tories won't do it. They'll just stick with the status quo, so we'll reform. Labour, Lib Dem and Green are going in the opposite direction. They want abortion up to birth, obviously. But the Heritage Party will reverse this and all the laws that kill unborn children. We need to stop that in this country. So please do join me. Please come and join the Heritage Party, heritageparty.org. We need members, we need candidates. I can't do this on my own. I'm always speaking about this, and I know a lot of people are horrified. Please come and join, take political action. Join the Heritage Party. We're the only party that can do this, that is a UK-wide pro-life party. Join us, stand to be a candidate if you can. Don't just sit in silence and be horrified. Take action, and you need to take political action. And you need to do it now, because we need to get to a position in 4 years where we can get into Parliament and reverse these things. No other party will do it, only the Heritage Party. heritageparty.org. Look us up. Please join us today. This is urgent, and this is the only way to reverse this. Thanks for listening, everybody. And even though this is horrible, a horrible thing come on England and Wales, and they want to do it in Scotland and Northern Ireland too. We can do this. We can change it back if enough of us step up and get involved in politics. So please do that. Please think about it. Thanks for listening, everyone. God bless you all.